So today I'm going to share with you some knowledge about how emotional intelligence can help project managers. How many of you are project managers or program managers? Oh, fantastic. Super. The whole crowd is filled with project managers. So today I'm going to share with you some yeah, tools and techniques that you can use to be successful in your role as a project manager. You're all ready for it?
Yes.
Super. Now, have you read anything about emotional intelligence? Anybody read Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence? Okay. So, emotional intelligence is a very popular topic. One of the reasons why it is a very popular topic is because people who are very successful in work or even in their life have more EQ, which is called emotional quotient, than IQ, which is intelligent quotient. So, what do I mean by that? We are much more successful in our role, both at work as well as in our family, when we develop our skills in emotional intelligence. For example, the session that you are attending now is going to help you much more than what you might have, than the time that you might have spent in preparing for your PMI certifications. So that's what it means. So, and that's why there is a lot of attention towards emotional intelligence these days. My agenda is very simple. I'll help you to understand what emotional intelligence is, and we'll quickly go through some tips and techniques that you can use to successfully lead the teams at your project or in your office, and build high performance teams as well as lead the organization through the changes. And towards the end, we will look at how you can boost your emotional intelligence. So, have you heard of this Thai cave rescue story? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, almost everybody, right? It was 2 weeks back, Saturday, Sunday. It was the most trending story in Twitter, and I got literally like goosebumps when I heard the story of the first 4 kids walking out of the cave, right? So when they pulled the kids out of the cave, and to me, that is a great example of how you can do project management. And that's a great example of how you can apply your emotional intelligence to make the project or the program very successful. Let me explain to you. You may be still thinking, what is this guy talking? So first I want to introduce the characters here. You know about the wild boars and Aki, the coach, and I'll simplify the name Narang, who's the rescue leader. He's the chief of the rescue operations. So let's look at what happened. These kids went into the cave and they got stuck because of the running water. The cave was flooded and they were not able to come out of it, and they were stuck for close to a week. That's when a bunch of divers, cave divers, went in and found them that they are alive. So the whole rescue operation itself is a huge project, unimaginable size project, because look at the number of people who are deployed, look at the number of resources that got engaged, look at the amount of time that was spent, look at the quality of the output that came from the project. We talk about time, cost, and quality when we talk about projects. Sorry? Yeah, risk involved, so you have to mitigate all of those risks. So it's a huge project. And let us wear the cap of this coach, Aki. Day one, when he was stuck inside the cave with 12 other kids, look at the kind of emotions that might have gone around, both within as well as outside. He might have obviously had some kind of a guilty feeling, number one. He might have felt, okay, my God, I'm the one who did this, I am the one who's responsible for all that happened. And that is one kind of emotion. And I'm sure there is also anger as an emotion, not only in the coach but also in the kids, right? Oh God, why did you make us land in this particular situation or place? And people may be even blaming the rain god, saying, oh, had it not been for the rains, we would have walked out and we would have gone back to our family. Anger, and there was a lot of confusion. I'm sure there was a lot of confusion within the cave at that time. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to come out of it. and there was very rare amount. I mean, there is very less amount of food. There was less amount of oxygen, and the coach is somebody who played a phenomenal role in terms of using his emotional intelligence, because first of all he acknowledged the problem, because you cannot do anything about what happened to you. You have control over what is going to happen from then on. So he knew the resources were limited. So he shared all the little food that was left over with the kids. He asked the kids to keep calm and quiet. And he also trained them on how they can meditate so that they can consume less oxygen, because oxygen supply was also going down. And he kept them glued together without any emotional struggle for close to a week. He was aware of his own emotions. He understood the feelings of the kids who were with him for a week. And he played a phenomenal role of managing not only his emotions, but also the emotions of the kids who stayed with him. And let us look at the role played by Narang. Narang is the chief of the rescue operations, and he has to deal with so much of frustration, anger that was around. All the family members and the relatives of the kids who were rescued were quite angry, very frustrated, and they were disappointed that they were not able to do anything about what was happening. And not only of the family members, but look at the international community that was involved. There were divers pouring in from all the different countries, Britishers, Belgium, Australians, divers pouring in left, right, and center. And not only that, Elon Musk was throwing gadgets left, right, and center at this rescue team for them to use the gadgets. So there is so much happening in the society that Narang has to deal with in that 1 week time frame. He has to manage the relationship with the media, the relationship with the family members, relationship with the international community. And what I learned from the press is he was regularly conducting meetings with the media members as well as the family members every single day to update them on what was going on. So finally, we all know what happened. Right? The kids were successfully brought out of the cave, 4 at a time, and now today they are all safe, sound. In between, there was one diver who lost his life, and despite that challenge, Narang kept the entire team motivated till they achieved the results. There were setbacks, but he was not distracted by any of the setbacks, but he kept the team motivated throughout. So this incident helps us to understand the emotional intelligence very well, because what I'm going to show here are the skills that you would need for you to be emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is nothing but a capacity to recognize your emotions and feelings, to understand, recognize others' emotions and feelings, manage your emotions very well, and manage the relationship of people around you very well. And not only that, keep yourself motivated every single day or every single time when there is setback. That is all emotional intelligence is all about. Now let us look at emotional intelligence in the context of project managers. Very similar, but you are responsible for a team. You are not just an individual, you are the leader of the team. And so you have to be aware of yourself, you have to be aware of the social circle that is around you. And you have to not only manage yourself, but you also have to manage the relationship with the social circle that is around you. And you have an added responsibility of not just motivating yourself, but motivating the people in your team. So all these capacities help you to develop your emotional intelligence. Is that clear? Before we proceed with the next sections. Why is emotional intelligence important for project managers? It provides a number of benefits. Let us relate some of these benefits to the Thai rescue event. Was there increased team performance? Would you agree with me? There was increased team performance. Was there an improvement in the decision making when they took an approach which is different from what Elon Musk was recommending? He was throwing in all the technical gadgets, but they used a very simple mechanism to bring the kids out. Reduced staff turnover. When the first diver died, all the other divers vanished. So they still were focused, right? So it reduces staff turnover, decreased occupational stress. You can all understand that. Increased leadership ability. Obviously, be it Aki, the coach, or Narang, the chief of rescue operations, they both displayed an increased leadership ability. I'm sure if Narang had to do a similar rescue operation, he would be able to apply all the learnings and skills that he got by managing this project. Would you agree with me? This is an example of emotional intelligence at work. Yes. Right. So how can we apply emotional intelligence at work? I'm going to share with you some 5 simple techniques that you can apply so that you can be emotionally intelligent in whatever role that you are playing at work. Right? Project manager role is not a very easy role. It's a very complicated role because you are responsible for dollars, you are responsible for resources, you are responsible for the timeline of the execution, you are responsible for the quality of the results that come out of it. And not only that, you have to deal with a matrix organization that is distributed across the world. Not an easy job. So that's why emotional intelligence is going to help you to reduce the stress in yourself as well as improve the performance. Not only your performance, but also the performance of the team that is working with you. The first tip that I'm going to share with you is help the teams understand the importance of their role. So you have to establish role clarity, and for that, maybe I'll give you an example which I read. This is a story of John F. Kennedy. Some of you might have heard about this story. John F. Kennedy is the person who had a mission, and what was the mission that he had? Man in the moon, right? So Man in the Moon was the mission. That was his big achievement. I don't think it happened during his term, but he is the person who kickstarted that initiative. So one day he was walking into NASA where they were building this spaceship that will land in the moon. And JFK ran into a person who was cleaning the spaceship. And he was asking, hey, what is your job in NASA? What are you doing? And he said, my job is to put a man in the moon. And he was surprised when he heard that. And he asked him, how come you look like a janitor, and how are you going to make a man land in the moon? He said, if I keep this equipment clean, this equipment will function effectively when it lands in the moon, and that's how I'm helping to put a man in the moon. He was very clear on what his goal is. He's not saying my job is cleaning. He's also aligned with the larger vision. Let us watch a small video and then come back. For those of you who are movie fans, you might have seen this. So I thought this best explains the importance of establishing role clarity, because every day in our work we find or we run into people who are extremely frustrated about the kind of work that they do day in day out, and not every work is a cool work, right? Everybody is responsible for something, and not all the work is cool work. But as project managers, we are responsible for keeping everybody in our team motivated and extremely delighted about the job that they are doing. So that is why it's very important. So three things that we have to establish when you are establishing role clarity is: number one, you have to clearly articulate the larger vision. What is the purpose of that project, that program, that organization? Why is it doing what is it doing? So you have to establish that very clearly, the larger purpose and the vision. And number two, you have to clearly articulate how what that team member is doing is mapping to the larger vision. In case of John F. Kennedy's example, man in the moon. Right? That's a larger vision, and how a cleaner's work gets reflected and helps in putting a man in the moon. So that is number two. And number three, everybody has this question of what is in it for me? And you have to clearly explain them what is in it for them if they do their role really well. So these three things are very important when you are establishing role clarity. Larger vision, how is the work that they are doing helps us to achieve the larger vision. And number three, what is in it for them? Let me give you an example. You may be thinking, okay, I'm not going to motivate a janitor in my office. So I'll give you an example from my own corporate experience. So I deal with a large team that takes care of developing IT applications that are used for managing large networks in US. I work for Verizon. So there are some developers in the team, there are some test engineers in the team, and there are some folks who work 24/7 to deploy the application in the production, as well as help maintain, monitor, and support those applications. And if you can look at the whole gamut of the work that is being done by my team, each lands in different parts of the value chain. Obviously, developers will be proud because they may be thinking that they are high in the value chain. But one of my jobs is also to keep the testers motivated, as well as my 24/7 the IT support team motivated. So I always tell them, guys, the work that we do is helping our customers in US, and specifically, for example, be it a tester. Assume that you are running late to a marriage event in the evening or a reception in the evening, and you are not able to execute some tests, and in a hurry you are just letting the software slip through into the production. Look at the impact of what you are going to do. What happens next is maybe your own relative or friend or buddy is trying to reach somebody near and dear in India, and they are trying to make a phone call, and that call will not go through. Assume that somebody is in an emergency situation and they are trying to call the 911 number in US, and that call is not going through because of what you did not do on that day. So people understand the larger picture when we as project managers help them to understand the importance of what they do, and how it influences the organization in a large way, and how it helps other people in the team and as well as in the universe. So we have the first thing that I want to again re-emphasize is establishing role clarity to the people in our team, and that helps us to build a culture of emotionally intelligent teams. When the teams are emotionally intelligent, then the productivity goes up, the amount of complaints come down, the confusion gets minimized. The next tip that I want to share with you is create an emotionally safe environment. What do I mean by that? In an emotionally safe environment, there is somebody to listen to the concerns of people. That's very important. There is somebody to listen to concerns from people. And in an emotionally safe environment, there is a lot of trust between the team members. There is a lot of trust. They feel safe because they know if they go to a project manager, the project manager is going to help them solve the problem for them. And there is a lot of respect for individuals in the team. It's not like it's a dogfight within the team, because we deal with a lot of stress day in, day out. So it's so natural that people run into dogfights. But when you create an emotionally safe environment, that environment has a lot of respect for each other. And not only that, the emotionally safe environment also provides an option for dialogues and interactions and coming together to discuss and solve problems, not backbiting, right? Going out and complaining like in a room, but have an open environment where issues are brought out, discussed clearly, and then sorted out. I'll share with you an example from my past profession. I started my career working for HCL, and my customer at that time was Cisco Systems. This was way back in '98. And the team that I was part of was taking over a function from US. At the time, offshoring was at its best. So there are a lot of functions that were getting moved from onshore to the offshore teams. So we were forming a brand new offshore team with 3-4 people who were taking over a support function or so-called maintenance function. They had a product that was already built out, but the product is losing its shine, so they started moving that product to India for maintenance and support. So there were developers who had worked on building that product for like 15 years, 20 years all together, and they were so passionate about the work that they did. They felt that somebody else is stealing the ground well that they had built for so many years. So there was so much of emotions, and how that emotion got manifested in our day-to-day work is whenever we send a request for code review. You're all familiar with code review requests? People who are in the software space, you may understand it better. You send an email with code change, and a bunch of people from other teams, they review it, and before you can go and check in the code or commit the code into the repository. So whenever we send a code review request, we used to get a lot of comments. In fact, there were times when the comments will be longer than even the code change that was done. We send like 2 lines of code change, and they'll send like a page worth of comments. So not only that, it was going back and forth multiple times, and we lost a significant time in turning around fixes for defects. And onshore teams, our so-called customers, they were complaining that these guys do not know what they are doing. We are wasting a lot of time dealing with the people in offshore. And offshore team will complain that onshore team is not at all supportive, they are not training, they are not helping us at all, and this project is not going to be successful. And that's when this person, Pradeep Verma, he's a project manager for the whole work that was getting moved from US to India. He came in, and he called for a meeting between the onshore as well as the offshore teams. And he said, guys, the intent of this outsourcing is not to steal your work and kick you out of job. The intent of this outsourcing is to move the legacy function to the team in India so that you can work on something new, you can build the next generation product. He got that straightened. Number 2, he said, folks, how would you solve the problem of the back and forth code reviews? And the teams came together, discussed, and they said, okay, let us establish a code review checklist. Whenever the offshore teams send the code for review, they will go through the checklist, ensure that all the guidelines are followed before they send something to US. We established a code review checklist. Number 3, we also worked on a process where anything that is sent to onshore for code review will be thoroughly tested, and the test logs will be attached when they send something for code review. So we established some process like this, and then for long code reviews, for example, if the code change is too long, we used teleconferences and meetings to review the code instead of just handing them over emails. We established some process like this. We openly discussed and agreed upon these processes, and over a period of time, we realized that the time taken for completing the code review was shrinking. In fact, there was a point where when you send a code for review from India to US, all they'll say is this looks good, you can go and check it. It didn't happen overnight, it took a few months, but the team got to that stage because Pradeep Verma created an environment where the teams came together, listened to each other's concern, and established processes to jointly solve the problem, and respected each other's views, and stuck to all the new established process. That is very critical, right? And when you stick to the newly established process, over a period of time, the trust level improves automatically. When you promise, deliver, the trust level goes up automatically. And that's what I mean by creating an emotionally safe environment. And we as project managers have a great responsibility to create an emotionally safe environment. In fact, it is easier to do it in the beginning as opposed to doing it in a reactive fashion when there's a crisis. So when we kickstart the project, establish that kind of an emotionally safe environment, set up that ground rule in the beginning itself. That's very important for the success of the project that we are handling. The next technique is create a peak performance experience. And this is something that I want to relate back to the experience in one of my past jobs. Give me a second. People get energized by the peak performance experience. What do I mean by that? All projects run into challenges and constraints, right? Do you agree with me? Is there a project that doesn't go through any challenge or issue concern? No. Right? So all projects go through challenges, and all projects go through this ups and downs. And most of the time, there will be lack of trust, or that people will not be like energized, especially when you are in the tail end of the project. They'll be burnt out, they'll be extremely stressed, they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and there'll be questions in their mind whether this project is going to be successful or not. We run into all similar experiences. So that's where it's very important for a project manager to jump in and create a peak performance experience. I'll explain this to you. This is not like very straightforward to understand what peak performance experience is. I was working for a startup. The name of the startup was Ankina Networks. And we were building products. Those products are used by enterprises, small to large enterprises, for storing videos and delivering videos to customers, or like locally stream and download and all. And the cost of one license for that software is like $2,000, which is very insignificant for a small or medium enterprise in US. So we managed to sell a few licenses, like 50, 60 licenses for $2,000 each. But we burned down all the cash that we had for in like 3 years time frame. It's a startup, we raised money, so we burned all the cash in three years time frame. And we reached a point where we didn't have enough money in the bank. And we have to acquire more customers to justify the investment that was already made. We had burned close to $10 million in over a 3 years time frame. And we didn't have enough cash in the bank, and the kind of customers that we are acquiring were all like small, $2,000 each. It's not going to help us to either attract new investment or to call it a success. So we were stuck, and the emotional quotient of the entire team was very, very low. You can imagine it's a very small team, 50 members team. We run into each other. Pretty much everybody meets everybody else every single day. So that emotion gets carried over from one person to another quite easily. And this is when we got an opportunity to sell something to one of the largest service providers in US. And AT&T, I don't know if you're familiar with this name, but AT&T is the largest service provider in US. And we got an opportunity to sell our technology so that they can roll it out to hundreds and thousands of locations to stream video to their customers. Our product was nowhere close to meeting the expectations of AT&T. Normally, there will be a RFP process that gets rolled out. It's a request for proposal, right? There's a long document. We had like 10,000 questions. It was the size of the Excel sheet itself will go on for like 100 MB or something like that. Have you been in one of those situations? Large RFPs, I'm sure all of you would have responded back to such large RFP, right? 10,000 questions will be there, and you cannot finish it overnight. It took like several months for us to in fact complete it. And our CEO called for a meeting. He said, guys, we are nowhere close to what they are asking, but we have 6 months time frame to get there. I need support from every single team to get there. The marketing or product management team has to ensure that the RFP is filled and responses sent to the customer. The engineering team has to find the gaps in terms of features in our product. We have to bridge that gap. And the testing team has to qualify it in a very fast cycle so that we can move from one feature set to another. And we have to create demos and prototypes to showcase value to the customer. If you all do this, we will exit, is what he said, because it's a close to $16 million deal. If you get just one $16 million customer, that's all. We are taken care of. So That energized the team significantly. We know we had like close to 60-70% gap in terms of what the customer was expecting, but the teams got into an autopilot mode. Nobody called and asked the team to work late in the night, but the teams worked late in the night. Nobody asked the QA teams to test the solution during weekends, but the QA teams came on their own to do the testing and complete the certification. The product management team was excited to build prototypes and demos and showcase that to customer on a regular basis. We did that for a period of 6 months. And AT&T evaluated our technology versus some of the competitors like Cisco, Juniper, all the big guys. And they finalized that ours was technically superior solution when compared to other players in the industry. And they decided to award the $16 million contract to Ankina on that way back in 2011 timeframe. So we became very successful. And you know what? Juniper acquired us because we closed that AT&T deal, because Juniper got, obviously we took the business away from them. And we had a great big brand name as a customer ready to pay $16 million. So they acquired us. We all became Juniper employees after that RFP win. And had we not aimed for something so big, I don't think we would have had that exit. We would have sold, we would have wasted a lot of time in getting $2,500 license from each customer rather than chasing this $16 million large, once in a lifetime kind of deal. So everybody, okay, not everybody will be working in a startup. Not everybody will be getting this opportunity of creating a peak performance experience as big as this. But at the same time, in our little way, we all can create that peak performance experience for our teams. So don't settle down for simple schedule. Make the schedule a little aggressive too. That is very important, because we may think when you keep the bar low, it will help the team. But actually, you know what? When you keep the bar high, that's when it will energize the team. I've seen programs without proper timelines or moving timelines where team members also feel, okay, the timeline will anyway move, so we can catch up later, right? Rather, create an ecosystem where the timelines do not move, and that energizes the team. But at the same time, we as project managers also have to help the teams with tools, technologies, resources so that they can be successful. It's not like just throwing work at them and not doing anything to help them, but we have to mobilize all the resources and support. That's very critical for them to be motivated to do it on their own. But most of the time, what happens? We end up calling them, hey, can you come on this weekend to do the testing, right? While we have a great opportunity to make the energy to come with them. There's a famous quote: if an egg is broken by force outside, life ends. If the same egg is broken by the force inside, new life begins. And we as a project manager, or we as project managers, have a great opportunity to motivate them so that they become self-driven and self-motivated. For that, first of all, we have to be motivated, right? If we keep roaming around saying, complaining about our pay and complaining about the lack of support that we have, if we ourselves are not motivated and we ourselves keep spreading that negative emotion to people around us, it's not going to help us create a peak performance experience for the team. Set the bar very high, help the team with the resources that they need so that they can meet those accomplishments, and keep the teams motivated, keep yourself as well as the team motivated every single day. That's very, very important for you to create a peak performance experience. And would you all agree with me that Thai cave rescue operation is a peak performance experience? Yes. Right? Why did so many drivers came in and started supporting the project, though they knew that it's going to cause harm to their life? In fact, one person, Salman, he lost his life during the rescue operation. But despite that, people were all energized and they made their life at stake to go and help the people. That's all because of the peak performance experience that is created by the Thai rescue operation project. This is something that I like the most: react versus respond. For those of you who have read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, okay, there are a few people who have read that book, right? So Stephen Covey spends a lot of time talking about the importance of react, seek to understand than to be understood is the habit. Right? So react versus respond. I'll show a short video to you. Projector is reacting. So we all run into situations like this, right? In our regular project, we all run into situations like this. People badmouth us, or we go out and badmouth somebody else, creating a situation like this for them. And people start reacting. When you hear that somebody is badmouthing you and somebody is not valuing your contributions, you tend to get so stressed. You try to prove that whatever you have done is right, and you go and fight with them. And we end up wasting energy, not only our energy, but we also end up wasting the energy of the people around us. So, and this is not very, like, as human being, we all go through this, right? When you are driving on the road and you somebody else hits your vehicle from the back, what happens immediately after that? Right? You pull your car and come out and shout at them, make their life miserable, make our life miserable. We get worked out, and when we go to the office, we start shouting at every single individual that we run into. And when we come back home, we carry that emotional baggage with us and start shouting at the kids for no mistake of theirs. And so this carries forward, right? So when that's a problem of reacting, and we all have to learn the art of responding. So I'll share with you an example. And there's a person by name, I'll change the name, Kumar. So Kumar, he works from my Hyderabad office. And I had assigned him a stretched responsibility of automating some aspect of the work that we are currently doing so that that work can be eliminated. Every IT team has a year-on-year target to improve operational efficiencies so that you don't have to have so much of manpower to do the work. So I assigned a task to Ram, asking him to automate and eliminate this work. And this was way back in last June time frame. And every month I was pinging Ram or checking with Ram. Ram, have you automated the work that I gave to him? And he will say, no, I am working on it. Then for 2-3 months, whenever I try to call him, he will not pick up his call or he will not be at his desk. There are times when I'll get out of office notifications when I send email. One day I called him and I literally like shouted at him. Ram, how many times I should call you and you don't even respond back to my calls? And I have assigned this task way back in June and it's already November, you have not completed the task. Now I am accountable for going to my leadership team and giving an update on what has happened in the last 4-5 months. And if I have not produced any results, it's going to negatively impact not only your performance but also my performance. And what the hell is going on with you? I literally yelled at Ram, and Ram took a pause for a moment and said, my mom is diagnosed with cancer, and this is completely unanticipated when I signed up for this job. And I had to take her to chemo treatment very regularly, once a week. And there are times when I have to take leave because I have to be in the hospital with her when she goes through the treatment. I don't have enough support system with me. And I thought I'll be able to pull it off, but unfortunately, this external situations did not allow me to complete this job. I'm extremely sorry, is what Ram said. I was shocked when I heard this because I know the emotional experience, roller coaster experience that he was going through. Because when you put yourself in their shoes, you will understand the emotional experience that he goes through. Obviously, automation took a hit because of this, but I didn't know what to do at that time. So I moved the task from Ram to somebody else, and that person started working on it and finished the job in 3 months. But there are times when we don't understand somebody else's perspective, start shouting at them in anger, pass on our emotions to them, and it's going to demotivate that employee. I'm sure it has demotivated Ram because I was not controlling my anger at that time. So emotionally intelligent people, they know how to control their emotions and they know when to react and when to respond. There are times where we have to react, and obviously when, for example, if there's a car speeding, moving in fast speed on you, you have to react. You have to move immediately. Right? You cannot pause and think what to do. The car will run over you. But at the same time, in projects, when we are dealing with people, it's very important for us to take a short pause before we act. And that's what I mean by respond. When you take that short pause, it's going to help you to make the right decision. It's going to make you evaluate a number of options. It's going to give you the time to put yourself in their shoes and think about the situation before you start acting. I'll also share with you some tools at the end of this session which you can use on how you can change your behavior from react to respond. This is the last one that I want to share with you. Don't piss them off. Capital PISS them off. What do I mean by that? So, we all have a responsibility of sharing feedback with employees that we deal with. And there are times when we have to appreciate their performance. There are times when we have to give them areas of opportunities for improvement. One of the mistakes that we all do is follow the traditional sandwich technique. How many of you are familiar with sandwich technique for giving feedback? I'm sure if you're a manager, you're trained on giving sandwich feedback, right? You'll say, hey, you did this project extremely well and the quality of deliverables was great, and but, right? And then you'll say, oh, you know, you didn't finish this on time, and I have to give reasons why you didn't finish on time. Next time onwards, please ensure that you are finishing it on time, right? And so sandwich technique familiar? I'm sure all are either you're giving it or you're receiving it. And what I learned is that's bullshit in today's world. Because especially when you keep appreciating your people, they're all looking, they're not even listening to those appreciations. They're all expecting the but in between. They're all looking for when this guy is going to say but, right? So, as project managers, one of the techniques that we should use to get the best out of our team members is to pass appreciations in pockets. Okay? Meaning, obviously everybody is doing agile delivery now, so maybe I'll introduce the technique. That is much more. Right. So positive. Any feedback that you share with individuals should be put in a positive manner. What do I mean by that? So, for example, there are times when people might not have completed stuff with high quality, and you have the option of saying, the next time you are checking in code without testing it, I'm going to kick you out of this job. Right? Or you can say, hey, can you ensure that you complete unit test and test automation before you check in the code? You are conveying the same thing. You are highlighting the importance of testing, test automation, but there's a positive way of putting that across with people. Some people call the glass half full and some people call the glass as half empty. What I'm saying is, don't call the glass as half empty. Call the glass as half full. You're conveying the same information, but put it in a way which is much more positive. When you share it in a positive tone, the teams and the employees that you are dealing with will receive it properly. If you expect a motivated employee or an employee to get motivated, then you have to put it in positive manner. The feedback has to be immediate. There are times when we may be busy after the project is done and we will be going on a 2 weeks vacation and coming back and say, hey, great job done by this team. That's not immediate feedback. Feedback has to be immediate, instantaneous. Before you go for that vacation, ensure that people who have to be appreciated are appreciated, achievements that have to be celebrated are celebrated. So the feedback has to be immediate for it to last longer. For the motivation to last longer, the feedback has to be very immediate. Yes stands for specific. What do you mean by specific feedback? Your code, sorry?
Don't give a general kind of.
Don't give general appreciation. For example, how many of you have kids at home? Kids at home. Oh, fast. So when my daughter keeps her room clean, neat and clean, and I have the option of going to her and saying, "Hey, great job, Mitra, your room is clean." That is still a good feedback instead of not giving any feedback. But at the same time, I can say, "Hey, Mitra, you have kept your room clean, and it is saving a lot of time for dad and mom, so that we can focus on other things." When you keep your room neat and clean, whenever there is guests at home, then they'll feel good about you and us, and so ensure that you are keeping the room clean like this in the future also. So specific means highlighting the importance of what the team member has done in the context of project, for example. Instead of saying, hey, your code quality sucks, you can say, next time onwards, ensure that you are doing a proper unit testing. Next time onwards, do a good job of going through the code review guidelines and incorporating that feedback whenever you are delivering something. Next time onwards, ensure that you are working with the QA team so that the code is tested before it is put in production. That is what is meant by specific feedback. The feedback has to be very specific, be it a positive feedback or a feedback that talks about areas of improvement. For example, you can say, Karthik, you did a phenomenal job as the president of PMI Chennai chapter. I always saw that you are very active, you are helping people all the times, and you are fully committed in making PMI Chennai chapter the best in the whole of India. You displayed your hard work. So put all those efforts and attitudes that Karthik displayed when he or she was like playing that role. So that is very important. Instead of saying, hey, you did a great job as president of PMI Chennai chapter. So that's what I mean by giving specific feedback. Separate. So remember the but that I talked about. So always don't combine both appreciations as well as areas of improvement in one sitting. Convey the appreciation separately when you want to appreciate somebody. But if you want to highlight the areas of improvement, call them for a separate discussion. Don't say you did a phenomenal job on that, but right. So don't use that technique. That is not going to help the teams be motivated. Develop an emotionally safe environment where people are openly talking about areas of improvement also with the same conviction that they use for appreciating people. So that's very important. So keep them separate. Keep the appreciation separate from the discussion that where you are having to highlight areas of opportunities. So now how you can boost your emotional intelligence. If you are someone who is not having that emotional intelligence skill, then how can you boost it? 7 ways to boost your emotional intelligence. Number 1, understand your emotional triggers. We all know when we are making those mistakes. When we shout at our spouse, when we shout at our employees, we all know the triggers that will make us to shout at people. So one technique to use is write down those triggers in a piece of paper. That is very important. Understand your emotional triggers. Number 2, mentally rehearse the common situations where you are displaying those emotions. Mentally visualize. For example, if I walk into an office and if I see this guy, I should ensure that I greet him with a smile and a warm handshake as opposed to turning away from that person. There are some people in the team, especially when you are dealing them in team meetings and all, then you don't give them an opportunity to speak because you don't like them in the team. People whom we don't like, we don't even hear from them. When they start talking, we don't even give them any attention. So when visualize situations like that and ensure that you are displaying a positive emotion, a positive way of handling those people. So visualization really helps because when you visualize, you remember it for a longer time. That's one of the reasons why I use videos to convey certain points than just talking about it. Put yourself in other shoes. This you might have heard enough from everybody. Right? Put yourself from other shoes. Think from the shoes of people that you are dealing with. Put yourself in their shoes. For example, the example that I gave about Kumar, I talked about my point of view, but I didn't put myself in his shoes. So, as a project manager, we are responsible for treating every single individual with respect and care and understanding the situation from their point. Ask others for perspective. This really helps. And the others should not be your close buddy, because close buddy also thinks like you. So ensure that you are explaining the problem to somebody, get their perspective before you act. I used to have a mentor called Radha way back in 2000 when I was at HCL. Every single mail that I write, I just run it with her once to understand her perspective of from that email. Because there are times when we shout in the emails also. When somebody reads, they'll understand that we are shouting. And I want somebody else to review my email so that my mail content is not conveying a different emotion. So getting others' perspective is important. Distract yourself away from the problem. Especially when you do your point number 1 very well, when you understand your emotional triggers, when such a situation comes, see if you can distract yourself from that problem. For example, an angry moment, a quarrel with your boss in a closed room, tell them I think it's time to call for a break. We'll huddle again and we'll discuss this later on. That's a way of distracting yourself away from the problem. Clear? Pause and throw a flashlight. Pause. Take a deep breath in and breathe out when you get into that situation where you're like forced to react immediately. And take a deep breath in, deep breathe out. And in that one fraction of a second, throw a flashlight. When I say throw a flashlight, what do I mean by that? Do I need to tell this? Do I need to tell this now? And should I be the one who should be telling this? Ask these 3 questions, right? Or maybe I'll rephrase it a little bit, right? Should this be told? Should this be told by me? And should this be told by me now? Ask these 3 questions before you respond to anything. And these are the 3 questions to ask during the time when you are taking a pause. So that's what I mean by pause and throw a flashlight. And last but not the least is meditation or exercises. This also really helps you to manage your emotions. If you are somebody who has a lot of emotional triggers where every single thing that every single person does like triggers your emotion, then meditation and exercise is very important for you. There are hormones that get segregated when you go through different emotions, and I want to talk about a few of those hormones: endorphins, serotonins, dopamines. I think there are hormones that get generated. For example, endorphins get generated when you are exercising, and endorphins makes you really feel good and makes you a very happy person. You, from within, you will feel like extremely charged and upbeat, right? For those of you who have occasionally gone for a like 1 hour walk, after the walk you will feel very elated as a person. You somehow your energy levels will go up because those hormones get segregated. Or if you buy a new iPhone or buy a new car, new camera, TV, you feel happiness and that excited feeling, and that is because of another hormone that gets generated when you get something that you are really passionate about. There are hormones that get generated when you are dealing with a set of people. For example, you are meeting your friends after a long time, 4 years, 5 years. You feel very excited and energetic. All of a sudden, you don't know why, because there are hormones that get generated during that time. So when you help somebody else, there are different set of hormones that get generated. So that's why whenever you are helping somebody, then you feel really good. Okay? So the action that you do day in, day out helps you to segregate certain hormones that will help you to minimize your emotions and minimize the amount of stress that you are going through every single day. So there are some examples that I shared which you can try. Thank you. So quick recap of what we covered. Establish role clarity, very important for you to be an emotionally intelligent project manager so that you can get the best out of individuals. Create an emotionally safe environment. Create a peak performance experience for people, and don't react but respond, and don't piss them off, and but use the positive, immediate, specific and separate technique to keep the individuals in your team highly motivated. With that, all the best, and I'll hand over back to the
Thanks, Saro. Thanks for the wonderful knowledge sharing session. Before the session started, everybody thought it's going to be normal soft skill training or exposure to a new topic. But you took us to the details with the practical examples and videos which help us to uh, uh, match to the real world. And many people are having their mind in their practical experience how this could have been handled, these situations could have been handled. This was a really wonderful knowledge sharing session. And I thought of summarizing, but you also summarized. Thanks for that one also. Now I would like to invite Shivram, our VP outreach, to give a memento to the speaker.
I attended the Saro session in 2012. Those are the days I was focusing on improving myself as a trainer. So in that particular entire session, it looks like very, very casual. But after the session is over, the techniques, whatever he has used, whenever I am applying, I am trying to see am I doing it or not. A very simple thing which he shared me is, he keeps offing the slides in between. And he says silence is one of the important things where you can gain the attention. That I have applied multiple times. And I hope whatever he has, the journey, what you have undergone now, looks very casual, but when the time comes, you will be able to recall that. Thank you, Saru, for the wonderful session.